I'm Ryan, and this is my video race report for the 2016 MabraCX Championships in Tawnytown, Maryland. Maybe because this was the Mabra Championships, but the sportif standings are thrown out the window today, and so I had a high number and a second row start. Fortunately, from previous videos, I know who the fastest off the start usually is. Maybe the second row can be educational this week. After a decent start, I slotted into 5th position as we hit the grass. The main feature of this course seemed to be the man-made off-camber grass slopes. Fortunately, the clay soil was nice and tacky today, so it was easy to get traction, even if you wanted to ride an edge on one of these slopes. After a little up and down in the grass, we hit one of the gnarlier turns on the course. This turn was packed with ruts and gravel. It might be an easier curve in different weather, but in dry conditions, it was a tricky turn to navigate. The course next rolls around a ball field, then we freewheeled through some deep gravel before starting a climb up the road. There were 2 well-worn paths to the top, so as long as you stayed on one, there was plenty of traction. I hate when these climbs are full throttle on the first lap though. After a few turns, we enter a nice flat course section that feels like a ride in the park. There are a few trees, and roots to go with them, to navigate before we cut through the tennis courts for our barrier section. The planks had a unique setup this week with a ditch right behind them. I tried both running and riding the ditch, but while it was not difficult, there was no faster route. Sometimes barriers provide a means to separate the field, but this week they didn't. A great description I've heard of this type of feature is technical but not difficult. From the barriers, we climb a gentle hill up to the pits, then dive off a small ridge and climb up the dirt side of the same slope. Fortunately, with the dry weather, this was an easy ride, but I could see it becoming pretty nasty in wet weather. Though the video doesn't show it well, as we descend back towards the start-finish, there were some treacherous routes on this section of the course. I felt my tires bottom out the first time, and then I did my best to ride the edge of the course to avoid them each lap. This would be a terrible place to flat, with the pit almost the whole way back around the course. From there, we swing around the pond and dive through a tight, loose gravel turn. I made the mistake of going wide the first time and got past before we hit the pavement again for the finishing stretch. With a group of 3 up the road already, that put me into 9th place after the first lap. After a little more position shuffling ahead of me, I rode in 9th place with racer number 603 the rest of the ride. About halfway through the 4th lap, we got passed by a rider. The 3 of us traded positions a bit over the next 2 laps, leading to a final showdown on the finishing straight. I turned the loose gravel corner behind the other 2, but as the pace ratcheted up, we dropped 1 rider. I poured it on for a final finishing kick and bike throw at the line. Based on the video, I think I might have won the sprint, but the chip timers said otherwise. I finished the day in 9th place against a very tough field. I'll be back in action again next week at the Capital Cross Classic before the Sportif Cup concludes in 2 weeks at Bike Kinetic Cross.